Today's episode is different, though. For those that may have looked at some of the YouTube videos or podcasts that I have put out, this again is season one because we are in a new year. All videos prior or all podcasts prior to that were my practice runs, and I'm still practicing. Every day's a practice, right? But this is an exclusive real-time conversation that I want to have with you all. And it's about the policies and decisions and the collide of what happened in the last 72 hours to folks. And I know, a lot of the messaging is conflicting, you know, unless you're in the recovery community. And when I say recovery, I am specifically talking about mental health and addiction recovery, but we are all still recovering from so many things, especially what's going on in this administration. And this is the platform that I choose to use to get that word out, to get that message out, to hear from you as those that have been affected by these decisions that are really just so. I thank you, Gordon. I appreciate you too. I just saw your message. I appreciate you. I had Gordon on right before, actually the day before New Year's Eve. And please, if you want to hear some amazing stories from Gordon Lied, please go on that YouTube. Again, I will provide all those links after, not during, but after this episode. But we've learned over the last 72 hours that over $1 billion in federal funding for substance use and mental health services was disrupted, right? We know, and if there's organizations that got that letter, I'm not looking to have that letter, but just kind of fill me in of what your thoughts were, what the feeling was, how did you tell your community, how did you tell your staff, what was going on? Did it just stay, at the higher level in administration, and just kind of crossing your fingers that things were going to change? But it was abruptly just terminated those resources, and it was like $2 billion, which is crazy, right? It's crazy, and I don't want to use that word to the point where it's going to trigger or affect anyone, but we know we are in such unprecedented times, right? We are in such a foundation of inundated information, distractions, and this was really hit hard. COVID. We know COVID 5 years ago, right? We were all in COVID. We were all in our homes. We may have been doing, platforms like this, following people, trying to connect with people because we were so disconnected. We couldn't visit our loved ones. We couldn't, get the help and the services that we needed. And I was working at that time in an outpatient program, and I had left that position because I wasn't set up to really reach out to the people that I was serving as a recovery coach. And so we were struggling with a lot of disconnection, right? And it seems like, here we are 5 years later, and we are being pulled in so many different directions. And I might throw down a few F-bombs here and there, but I'm trying to be good and not want to I don't want to get shadow banned on this. So I might use different terms in regards to what we see in the addiction recovery substance use field. Okay. So again, these policies, these politics have, they're using our platform, our behavioral health system as a sport. We quickly, as quick as we folks had gotten that letter, they also were told, "Oh, we're restored," but we still, if you do know the reason behind that, I can tell you what I think the reason is. But again, that's just my opinion. But if you have an absolute knowledge of the reason behind their decision to do this, I think it was cruel. It was just downright cruel. And we've seen a lot of that coming out of this administration. And it also, I realized this morning as I was preparing that this information came out a week after a woman, married woman with children, was unalived in her car. So we are so distracted by this administration because they don't want us to look at the real deal, and I'm going to put it out there, the Epstein files, the overspending of and putting our tax dollars in billionaires' pockets. That is the real conversation that we are having in our little funnels. But I'm here to get out of that funnel, to get out of that silo and do what I feel I was born to do in my purpose, and that is advocate, speak my truth, to have those conversations, whether they're at my kitchen table or they're out there in the community. For me, this is the space that I feel most comfortable in and that I feel that I can be more valuable in. I'm not that person that stands in, line with or a group with a sign in my hand. My sign is this platform. So thank you again for all being here. So let's get to it. Let's get to it. Again, if you're interested in coming on this live with me, just message me in the chat or in the comments, and I'll try to get you the link or just throw your questions out there, as I start bringing up information. So for those that are like, what the hell is she talking about? I'm just going to give you a quick summary on what was posted in NPR, just the other day on January 13th, just a few days ago, 3 days ago. I hate saying this person's first name, but I'm going to say it anyway. The Trump administration abruptly sent termination letters to more than 2,000 nonprofit organizations across the U.S. that receive federal grants through SAMHSA, which is Substance Abuse Mental Health Service Administration. That's our federal organization that helps fund and funnel a lot of these dollars into nonprofits and communities. These grants totally roughly about $1.9 to $2 billion. Funds vital act for addiction recovery, mental health programs, and on other frontline cares. Providers were given little warning. For some, that's what they woke up when they and went off to work or looked at their, work emails on their phone before getting on the road. I can't imagine what that felt like. But these providers were given little to no warning and told that costs incurred after terminations weren't allowable, forcing many to lay off staff, cancel programs, or consider closure. Officials said the programs no longer aligned with the administration's priorities. Oh, okay. Not aligned with your priorities. So, unaliving people, pulling people off the street, having children in Chicago stand outside in the freezing cold. That is part of your policies. Okay, I digress. Through their clear justification. So that was their, that is just a quick summary. Also, I will put the link in in the chat or whatever the comments in regards to the full report. But you can, again, we have our library at the tip of our fingers, so you can Google it yourself if you don't want to wait for little old me to get it out there for you. So let's break it down. What happened? Again, A lot of what I'm about to share with you all, yes, are some statistics, but I'm not a statistics person. I am a people's person. I am, as a recovery coach, peer support specialist, working in the industry of behavioral health. I still do, but I do it from the comfort of my home. I do work for a crisis call center, but the majority of the calls that we get in are, people are in crisis, right? And are directly connected or need to be directly connected to these services that this administration said, wrap it up like, a piece of paper. I'm going to kind of do some visual. This is what they did. Ooh, throw it away. Okay. I'm not a throwaway. All right. I'm a person with lived experience. For folks, they know my story. For others, I'll share a real quick synopsis. Over 30 years ago, I was in homelessness. I was in active addiction through using drugs and other drugs and alcohol, and traumatized. I had complex trauma, which was undiagnosed at the time. I was pregnant and many of my friends are also very much connected to women and children's programs. That was eventually where my addiction was able to take me through the Department of Children and Family. They guided me into a women and children's program, and that program literally saved my life, along with other modalities and other pathways, like being on medication assistance treatment, like going to 12-step programs, mutual aid programs, like having one-on-one therapy, family therapy, also work programs that were federally funded. I became a CNA. It was because there was grant dollars that, and a CNA is a certified nurse's aide. And that was the second job I had. My first job was working at Dutch's, and that's a, fast food place here in Connecticut. So my journey in, and my stake in this, I don't have a nonprofit anymore, but I know during the time that I had a nonprofit, it was really hard to get funding, but some of the bigger places, and even, like I have a friend in Colorado, Raquel Garcia, I'm going to call her out, Hard Beauty, amazing, amazing organization that she built, her and a couple other people from the ground up, but she has made that into a statewide organization that thousands of people, again, I don't know her numbers, but I know thousands of people depend on the work that she does. And I know she does work in the hospitals with prenatal, with moms like myself that walked into a hospital and dealt with nothing but discrimination and stigma and made me feel bad because I was an addict. An addict is, addiction is a disease. And I'm not going to go into the science, but there's an art to helping people to recover. And hopefully some parts of my conversation will show that. So again, over 2,000 organizations were affected. And again, my friend with Hard Beauty was definitely affected. I saw her posting. Um, Programs were threatened for overdose prevention. I'm a harm reductionist. I still do that work, or at least provide that support to people that are still in use, but need to learn how to use safely and need that support, need to be in safe places so that they can talk about what's going on in their life, right? So those programs, peer support, I mentioned earlier, Narcan, naloxone distribution. Naloxone is, for those that don't know, and I hopefully, you do know, and if you don't, get trained in Narcan use. You may save a life. Even just having it in your medicine cabinet, you may be able to save a life. And that's, if I can connect someone to to learning how to use Narcan and using safely, I know that some of these things that I'm saying may be like an ouch for people, but you know what? I'm not here to make you feel comfortable. As you can see, I'm a person of color and I've done that all my life. I'm not here to make you feel comfortable. That's why I'm on this live, because I am reaching out to those that know and are not in the know that we need to come together as a community. If we are going to combat what's going on in this administration, we need to, whether it's changing the hat, this set of lenses, whatever you need to do, find your group, find your tribe, find your community that is going to help you get the message out. Because I don't care. I believe most of the majority, again, I don't have the numbers. I'm not a numbers person. I said that earlier. But I believe we've all been affected by either our own mental health and addiction or substance use, or we've been affected by it. I've talked to parents, I've talked to siblings that have lost their loved ones, that weren't able to get connected even when we were fully funded. And there's just so much work to do. Again, I digress. I will move on. So, why does all of this matter? Excuse me, I got a little itch on my eye. Why does this all matter? Again, put it in the comments. Why do you think this matters? Why do you think helping people with their mental health, right? Or helping people find services or having these organizations funded. Why do you think it matters? I know it matters to me because I wouldn't be here talking to you had it not had the not the program that I was in was funded. My son is now 31. He's a dad to triplets. Those are my grandchildren. And I'll get into what we can do as action steps, moving forward. You I know I'm going to do everything in my power that I'm able to do so that I can hopefully change the trajectory, change the narrative for my grandchildren to feel safe, to know that if anything, if anything that they were experiencing as adolescents, young adults, that they knew that there was a safe place where they can go, that they could get the help that they need. All right. So this matters because communities don't deserve to be scrambling. I've worked for communities that we were scrambling for dollars. And, you know, whether it's a bus pass or having enough staff, and I'm not just talking about peer support, I'm talking about clinical staff, doctors, so that clinicians weren't inundated with high volumes of cases. When I came in as a peer support, I was able to take some of that load or weight off of clinicians. I'm not a clinician, nor have I been certified or licensed as a clinician, but as a person with lived experience, I was able to provide that connection where a clinician may not. But we worked as a team. When I say community, I'm not just saying that, as a buzzword or, oh, that feels so good to be part of a community. It is necessary to be connected to community. And the reason why I say that is that a lot of these programs what are they doing? They're funneling out to the community. They say what the opposite of addiction is connection. And again, we saw a lot of disconnection during COVID, where we were able to get mutual aid groups online. And again, that didn't cost anybody other than maybe a membership with Zoom, or they went with the free version. I was with the free version for a long time, but we needed to find ways. We were creative. We were creative then, and we're going to get creative now. So as folks were experiencing this horrific news, whether it was through word of mouth or whether it was through getting this letter, in their inbox, in their email, it was again, I can't imagine. I can't imagine what that the first thought was for people. And again, please feel free to add any of the comments in the chat. But I'm going to share a couple comments that I did take off of Facebook. I did get permission from one of my friends to use their name, but I'm not going to use names today. And before I share those quotes, again, we were looking at what do we do now? What do we do now? What do we tell, our members? I was off those 2 days. I went back to work yesterday, and I was trying to prepare myself to hearing from people, or we call them members. I was experiencing that at the beginning of last year when they were talking about cuts and people's food stamps. We're still looking at healthcare is still on a very unbalanced scale. We're looking at SNAP benefits. We're looking at cuts that they're doing in childcare. And I have, like I said, I have triplet grandchildren. Excuse me, triplet grandchildren, and they're all in preschool. And the preschool, I believe, is state and federally funded. And my son and his wife, they depend on those services. We're not looking, people that may have this idea that, oh, they're junkies or addicts, again, I'm only using terms that have been used before. Those are not the terms that I use today, that we're looking for handouts, that we deserve what we got. That is such a humane sense of thinking. I don't know how you sleep at night if you have those thoughts. I really don't. And I'm not here to make you feel bad, but I am calling you out. There's times when I call people forward and I have a conversation on a one-on-one, but seeing I'm on this platform and this is my podcast, Cruising on the Edge, where we do real talk, real purpose, real recovery, and we want to provide real results. I'm going to call people out. Again, we need to work more closely together. So a couple of the comments that I pulled from this page specifically. I just don't have the words tonight, but we're going to fight like hell, not giving up no matter what. Yesterday, the administration terminated thousands of federal grants supporting mental health and addiction services, cutting roughly $2 billion in funding. Programs helping people to recover from addiction, supporting maternal mental health, and providing care for children and teens lost funding overnight. With no warning, mental health care has a bipartisan support because it works. Our communities deserve better. This person that wrote this not only wrote it from their heart, they wrote it from their lived experience, and they learned it from the political language that a lot of us don't know. And I think that's what keeps people away from wanting to do anything in regards to this administration and asking yourself, what can I do? I'm not into politics, or, I didn't vote. I'm not saying that I didn't, but there's a lot of people out there, as we know today, that didn't vote. And that's why we are experiencing what we're experiencing. But I also know that they're mobilized recovery organizations, and I say that with the utmost love. Mobilize Recovery, I was part of it for several years. I'm still always going to be an alumni of Mobilize Recovery, but it taught me not only leadership, it taught me how to advocate. It taught me how to encourage people to get out there and vote. If you want a voice, yes, this platform is great. If this is what you want to do, or sharing a, 30-second or 1 minute video is all great. But some of us need to get out there and drive people to the voting polls. And I've seen people do that. And I encourage you all to do it next November, this November coming in 2026. This primary is so important. You may been hearing that in so many places. Well, do your research. Do your research. And also share about what you're experiencing. I got to go to the grocery store when I leave here. Just got paid today. And I know as a single person, I live on my own, my grocery bill has doubled. I'm eating the same thing, but it's doubled. Why? I don't I don't eat a lot. It's not, but I need to get nourishment, right? Food, we need food. It's a basic need. I need to pay my rent, so I keep a roof over my head. My utilities have gone up. My rent didn't go up. Well, it goes up, very little every month, and I hope it stays that way. I mean, every year, and I hope it stays that way. But for some people, taxes have gone up, healthcare has gone up, and this is where services for mental health is so important, because people are struggling. People are holding a lot of these things in. People just turn off your television. That's fine. That's your prerogative. But this shit is not going to go away. There we go. This shit is not going to go away by itself. It needs community. It cannot live in a vacuum. And so if you use my platform and use any other platform, please, or you want to be a spectator, or you want to, get involved in some way, there's small things and big things that you can do. Just ask. Just ask. There's many of us out there that when I finally came out of the church basement, and I was like, oh, this is what sharing my story really looks like. Not to say that I wasn't sharing my story in a church basement. When I say church basement, an AA or an NA meeting. But when I saw movies or documentaries like The Anonymous People, I realized that I am no longer anonymous, which also strengthened my voice to be in front of you today. And each day gets a little bit better. Each day I get a little bit more boisterous. Each day I bring in someone else. Because yes, my story is powerful, and I only throw in a little tidbits of it. But those that know me, but when I get to know someone else and I'm connected to their story, that's powerful. And that's what we need to be using to combat what's going on in this administration. Whether it is rallying or peaceful protesting of what's going on in the big cities. I live in a little city, but am enclosed around two big cities that have already been affected by these ice raids. My last name could potentially get me stopped. I don't know. I don't want to assume. I don't want to throw all my focus into that, but I want to be prepared. And that's what I want to say with this conversation today, is that, we all need to be prepared in some shape or form. So I want to read a couple more comments, and then I'm going to go and close in some call to action. And I want to just again thank you, anyone that's listening in or may listen to the recording later. Please, my information will be there. I will also share some other resources of other organizations that are advocating for change, that are calling to action. We can't do this stuff alone. People will die, period. Let that resonate. If funding is not restored, people will die, period. Those of us in the recovery movement have gone to more funerals than we can count. Unbelievable. I'm so angry. Such a slap in the face to all of us who have lost our kids. Yeah. Thank God I'm sober, or I would have been wasted. The past 48 hours have been fucking hard. I'm grateful for my recovery today. I love this person who wrote this because they spoke the words that I was thinking at the time when I saw all this information. I am so grateful to have a recovery today so that I can recharge, take a breath. Let's do it together because I'm all about wellness these days too, and get back to work because there is a lot of work to do. But please, folks that are doing the work, that are on boots on the ground, don't do it alone. Please bring somebody with you. Stay safe, stay hydrated, make sure you're getting some rest. I know it's hard. Imagine a lot of people lost sleep over those 48 hours. And when I say 48 hours, for those that aren't in the know, there was a notification that the administration had restored the funding. Now, I don't know if that was immediate or if that was just a plug to get people to shut up, but I do know from advocates that kept posting, and I did it myself, is I called my state, local, and federal representatives because they're the people that we are supposed to voice these things to. Yes, the power is in within the people, but we need that leadership also. And many of us have been like, where is our leadership? And again, I'm going to call some of you, doesn't care what side of the aisle you're on, because I can only imagine on both sides of the aisle, y'all have lost someone with a mental health disorder and or substance use, that they either unalived themselves or they unalived by overdose. It has affected you. And if it didn't affect you by losing a loved one, it has affected your pocketbook. So if you are sitting on your hands and you are in leadership on the political side, you need to get off your ass and work with us. You need to work with us. There we go. I'm sorry. Hey, Miss K. How you doing? Oh, you're on the road. Yes. You know, my David Strand is from your town in Jersey. And at least he grew up there. I don't know where he lives now, but one of the founders from my seven figure podcast, he shared about it today. And I was like, oh, Miss K, she lives in that area. So awesome, awesome. Yes, you love my purple. Yes. You know, purple is represents healing for me. It's recovery. Yes, I'm very connected to the color. Plus it's my birthstone too. You know, by the way, next month I will be in Vegas. for my birthday. Again, I kind of shifted here in conversation, but we do have to, in all the seriousness of what's going on, we do need some good distraction. Right. And I just want to share with you all because I always love, my mother always made my birthday a big deal. I was born the day after Valentine's Day. I kind of missed out on that. But, February 15th, 1963, I know I look good. I had to put that in there as well. And I'll be 63, and I'm going to be in Las Vegas with my friend Ryan Hampton and his husband Sean, my old boss, and my good friend Raquel. And we're going to paint the town. Hopefully not red, but we're going to definitely paint the town. And we're going to do a podcast. I'm not sure if it's going to be live. I hope it is. And it will be a very full conversation. I can't imagine having Ryan and Raquel on both sides of me. Woo, boy, it's going to be hot. So please stay tuned for that. I will be posting some promos in regards to that. So again, let me get back so I can let you guys get back to lunch or get back to whatever you're doing, or hopefully maybe you're listening in on your earphones. But thank you. Thank you so much. Support that I received has helped me to keep showing up and wanting to grow this community. And this platform of Cruising on the Edge is a community for me. And I'm hopefully for you. Hopefully there's something I'm saying today, or if you've viewed any of the videos or podcasts that I've posted on YouTube, maybe there's something, maybe there's someone out there that says, I'll never find recovery, or I'll never get out, when I get out, or I'm back in the community after being in jail for X amount of time. And I don't know how to survive in this community. Reach out to Gordon. His story is so powerful. Or you're looking for a health and wellness planning. I had my chiropractor on because I wouldn't be so jelly unless I had my chiropractor adjustments every other week. It's part of my wellness. It turns my lights on. And when you look into chiropractic, I know some people are like, "Oh no, I could never get I get eek, at the sound of a crack." For me, I'm like, "Ooh, that felt good." Again, I digress. So, again, the fundings were restored, but the fear and the disruption and the harm, excuse me. Of course, I didn't put my water next to me. Oh, yes, I did. Excuse me. Take a sip. Let me just repeat that real quick. The funding was restored, but the fear and this disruption and the harm are real. We can't normalize what's going on. We can't normalize and justify what's going on in our communities, what's coming out of this administration. They want us to. They want us to comply. We've taken that out of the behavioral health field, compliance. I say resist. That was my nickname, not resist in high school, but the rebel. Yes, I had drugs and alcohol giving me that liquid courage at the time. I don't have that today. I have you. I have you that gives me the courage to keep going on. I have the work that I do. I have my grandchildren. I have my family that gives me purpose to keep going, to keep going. And I'm just encouraging you to be in the know, be in the tea, as they say, right? Be in the know, but also know where your limits are. Know when you need to take a pause. Take that breath. Turn off that screen time. That's what my horoscope said, limit screen time. So I'm going to do this video. I'm going to go out, do my food shopping, and I'm going to prepare for my work tonight so that I can show up in my full authentic self. And if all of this is overwhelming to you, I completely understand and I empathize with it. And please give yourself grace. Don't should on yourself. I should be doing something. You can do like I said, you can do little things. You can have small conversations. You can make posts. You can make calls. You can encourage other people to make calls. There's something that we all can do. When I hear people say, I can't dance, everybody can dance. This is another form of dancing. This is another form and art of sharing your voice. So again, I encourage you. I'm going to close it out with, again, some call to action steps as soon as I find them. Ooh, okay, here we go. Last page. And I got all my cheat sheet notes. And thank you again, everyone, for being so patient and um, yeah, just providing your voice in whatever capacity suits you or feels comfortable to you. But this is the other thing. Don't get too comfortable. Even though funding was restored, and I still haven't heard from people, hey, Michelle, she's in Alaska. Awesome. Um, don't get too comfortable. There was a saying that we were saying during COVID after George Floyd was unalived. Don't be too comfortable. Be comfortable, but being uncomfortable. This administration is putting us in that position, but we were already doing it, not just in the recovery movement. We were already navigating our way through the difficult, through the hard, as my friend's organization's called hard beauty. Many of us didn't come out the other side. Many of us are still stuck. But it is I'm going to say it it's my responsibility. I'm going to keep it in the my and the I. It's my responsibility. If I have all this information, it's not worth it keeping it to myself. I don't come on this platform to say, hey, I'm Carol and I look good and you know, to be anyone but myself. This platform and recovery has helped me find myself. And I'm here to help you find you too. But we need programs and we need this funding to be consistent. And that is another thing. If you're in recovery or you're seeking recovery, do one small thing to get closer to where you want to be. Be consistent. Don't do it alone. Reach out for help. Again, we're not here to get a hand out, but we do need a hand up. There's sometimes I've been in my recovery, it wasn't too long ago that I thought about unaliving myself because life had gotten really hard and I felt lost and I didn't want to use and I didn't want to die, but I didn't want to feel the pain. Don't have to do this alone. If we stay strong as a community and we continue to grow, we will get through these this time with this administration. And if we show when we show up, not if, but when we show up at the polls in November, think, ask yourself, what can my vote change? And if you don't have an answer, vote anyway. You have nothing to lose, but everything to gain, as my mom would say. So, what do I need to do? Call to action. These are some concrete steps, folks. So write them down, but I also will put them on this post afterwards when I get back from the grocery store. Call, text, or email your representatives. Talk about why this matters locally and nationally. Ask for a stable funding, ask for stable funding and transparency. I don't think a lot of us get, we're inundated. I don't know. Some of these bills are like your Verizon bill. Everything's in small type and they're using words you don't understand. And it's hard to unpack and decipher what's yours and what's theirs. If you don't know, call your representative and have them break it down. You might only get their assistant, but that's okay. Ask them the question. There is no stupid questions out there, my friends. There is no stupid questions. We need to be asking more. We need to be holding them accountable. We need to be holding ourselves accountable. We need to be bringing our community together to be accountable for our families, for our children, for our future generations. I don't know. If I was born today and I was looking at 20 years ahead, like I would say, what a fucked up mess this is. But I don't want to stay stuck in the FUs. I want to stay in the present and just keep moving, keep moving, keep moving. Connect with your local advocacy groups like Mobilize Recovery. They're going to be in December. We're going to be in Las Vegas. I'm looking to maybe be a presenter. Put my proposal in there, but if not, I definitely will be there as a oh yes, love you, Michelle. Yeah, NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness chapters across the country. I use them quite a bit as a resource. They have peer resources, they have family resources, they have legal resources. So reach out to NAMI is a wonderful organization. Recovery coalitions, grassroots activism, activist groups, recovery community centers. I know here in Connecticut we have several. So reach out. And again, if you don't know, Google it, AI it, ask ChatGPT. ChatGPT. I have an assistant on ChatGPT, and again, I digress, Nova Kai, that helps me with my scripting and helps me edit, you know, so that I can bring real information. Because what I'm talking to you about, it's not just about blah, 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 wah, 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 and I'm not here to complain because there has to be balance, right? For everything that I might be in discord about and distressed, I do have to find the lighter side of it. Looking at my grandchildren, getting outside in the sunshine, even though it's 28 degrees outside, you know, um, having a job, having a roof over my head, because I know there was one point in my life, not too long, well, over 30 years ago, that during this time of year, I was homeless. I was in homelessness and I was pregnant and I didn't find housing until I was in my sixth or seventh month. I lived on people's couches and floors, hallways. I didn't grow up that way. But yes, my active addiction my trauma. And I say my, but today is I was a person experiencing those things. Today I am in recovery. I'm in wellness. I'm feeling more whole today. And it was because of outreach programs, nonprofits for women and children that guided me. And eventually I grew a more spiritual life. So those are my balances. I journal every day. I pray and meditate every day. I smudge every day. I wish and I put out there whatever content that I think would may be helpful for others. I do a daily inspiration on Facebook every morning. And I don't, and again, I'm not looking for numbers, but every once in a while I get, Carol, that was exactly what I needed to hear. And I didn't originally put it out there for other people. I put it out there for myself because I was trying to get over some grief and loss. Let me continue, and then I'm going to let you guys go because got 2 minutes to 1 o'clock, and I got to get out into the stores. Show up at town halls and community hearings, and if there's not a town hall, create one. Get together with a few people and create one. Share your story. Share your personal story. Talk to lawmakers. They need to hear the impact of what this administration is doing to the behavioral health community and the recovery community. And don't stop. Just keep talking about it, write about it, do whatever you need to do. Find the platform that you feel most safe in, find the group of people and community that you are like-minded to help you learn the new things. Um, Art Woodard, who passed 5 years ago, was my mentor and friend to many. I don't say he was just mine, but he had this saying, and I tried to repeat it one other time, and I forgot the words, but we're all learners, doers, and teachers. Repeat, learners, doers, and teachers. Always stay open-minded to learning new things. You don't have to agree with them. I'm watching people post things like, well, just be nice. And then they're describing about this administration and this, that, and the other. Well, I don't want to be nice. I don't want to be, no, I need to voice how I feel because for me to hold it up, it's poison. And for me to should on you, or have a resentment towards you because you are on the other side of the aisle or you believe your beliefs are different than me, that's me taking poison, expecting something to happen to you, bad to happen to you. Track future budget votes. Encourage listeners to follow and weigh on the funding and bills. Support local providers, volunteer, donate, help spread the word, as I've been saying throughout this whole podcast. And remember, vote, vote, and vote. And I'll probably have, especially in these primaries, I'll probably have a podcast on that. So it's not enough to be outraged. Let's use the energy for strategy and sustained action. And we'll end with this. And this was a quote from someone on, oops, I can't find it now. Someone on the Anonymous People, Christian Johnson. Silence equals death. I will not be silent anymore. Will you? So again, whatever capacity that you're able to, please use your voice, your vote, and use your voice. Advocate for change, because if it's not affecting you, if these cuts and this administration is affecting you, then probably in some type of bubble, and something's going to come along and burst your bubble. And I'm not making this a white thing or black thing or whatever. I do post things in regards to race often on my Facebook page, my personal page. Um, but this is about a human. This is about us being human and showing our sense of humanity and taking care of each other. So, thank you for listening. Thank you for caring. And thank you for tuning in to Cruising on the Edge. Until next time, be blessed.